Hello and welcome to this week's episode of It's a Sure Thing, the community collective show where we interview amazing people doing extraordinary things in the community and in their businesses and making a difference. Part of the Enlightened Tribe community, collective of people and practitioners from all over the world, from our global wellness directory, which is available on sueshaw.com.au. So this evening, if you're tuning in from Australia, or 9 o'clock Thursday morning, if you're tuning in from the UK, because our guest tonight is from the UK, we've got an amazing woman, Sally Bolton, who has been a very dear friend of mine for a long, long time. She has got an amazing business in Bolton, actually, called Eat, Train, Love. And she's a personal trainer, she's a health and wellness coach, she's a nutritionist, and more recently, she's been doing some work on menopause and perimenopause and what this all means. So she's really dedicated to talking about menopause and what it's all about and how it affects people, because it's something that isn't talked about enough. And we actually just had a little conversation before coming live, and yeah, it's something that really needs to be discussed. So this evening, if you'd like to invite and share with your friends and family to come and join us, please comment on the comment section as well. Let's help grow the tribe. And yeah, if you've got any questions, please use the comment section and we'll answer your questions as we go along. But I would love to introduce to you the dynamic, the incredible, the magnificent Sally Bolton.
Hi.
So if we could get through this without laughing all the way through it. Thank you so much, Sally, for changing all of your client appointments so you can actually be here. You've already been to work at 6 o'clock or something crazy this morning. So thank you for being present and being here for the show.
Absolute pleasure, darling, as you know.
So more recently, you've been getting into you've got a program, haven't you? Tell us about this menopause program that you've started and where you've launched it and what you're doing.
Yeah, so it all started probably about, I would say, about a year and a half ago for me, and I suddenly realized one day I was having symptoms, and I was aware of menopause, but I didn't really know too much about it. So because of that, I then started to look into it a little bit more, and fast forward to the last, probably I would say about 5-6 months, I started to realize that it wasn't just me, it was impacting an awful lot of women, friends of mine, colleagues of mine, clients of mine, and people were talking about menopause and not really understanding what was going on. And that was a big thing for me. So because of that, and because I was going through it, I thought, right, I'm going to do some more research, look into this a little bit more. And then the more I spoke to people about it, the more I realized there's so much misunderstanding around menopause. It's still very taboo, as you've just said. We still kind of talk about menopause. It's like, we don't talk about it. Exactly. We need to embrace the menopause, because it happens to almost every single woman on this planet, and it's going to keep happening. So it's not going away, and it's really important that we start talking about it. So because of that, I have developed a program which I've run. I'm on my 3rd one now. I'm just launching my 4th one, which I run at the studio that I work at. And that's it's really an educational course. It's a 6-week course. And it's full of practical strategies and tools that you can use. It's all centered around health, though. So it's centered around your lifestyle and how you can really manage your lifestyle to help you through the whole process, because I can't wave a magic wand. I can't stop it from happening. But what I can do is recommend and educate you on how you can manage your health to get through it as not as easy as possible, because that sounds like it's just to kind of maybe help the process a little bit more. So I'm doing that now, and I'm also just been working with a school which has been fantastic, because they've really been very proactive and understanding that it isn't just an issue for women, it's an issue for women and for men, but it's also a major issue for in the workplace, because women are impacted by this, and it can go on for years, the symptoms, which can be very debilitating, and it massively can impact their performance at work, and how they show up, how they feel at work. So we've that's like another thing that's going on at the moment. I've got another couple of schools that I'm working with as well, so it's all going off at the moment, and it's really exciting.
Fantastic. And yeah, it's so exciting, and just brilliant that you're a voice for people. And Adaz made a comment, you know, menopause is probably not a topic that gets discussed around the water cooler in the office. Absolutely, it's not. So let's have a voice, let's educate, like you say you're doing. And can you just give us a little brief overview of what are some of the symptoms if women are starting to experience these things, to know that they're actually not going crazy, but that they might need to just find out whether they're actually going through peri-menopause or menopause. So what are some of the symptoms to look out for?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. I mean, you said the word there, and this is what comes up a lot. Women feel like they're going mad, they're going crazy, because there's such a big impact that's going on in your body. So basically, in essence, it's a decline in your hormones, particularly your sex hormones, which is estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. And because of that, women can experience a whole, I believe now, a few weeks ago, I understood it was 34. I've now read there's 48 different symptoms, and they can be categorized into more physical or emotional, cognitive, mental. So like we were just saying earlier on, it can range from physical. So you can have joint aches and pains. You can have really bad migraines. It can cause vaginal dryness because it affects the lubricant. It can cause brain fog. See, this is what happens when you have menopause. You start to forget, brain fog. You can lose words when you're in a sentence, talking in a sentence. It can cause night sweats, hot flushes, anxiety, low mood, low libido. I mean, the list goes on and on. It causes skin problems, teeth problems, gum problems, hair problems. It can cause weight gain. So yeah, there's so many different symptoms. And the thing with menopause and perimenopause is you can experience different symptoms at different times. So you can go through a stage where you're, say, for example, and I'll use myself an example. At the moment, I'm experiencing night sweats. It's not regularly, as in every night, but it's probably every couple of months or so. I get a short phase where I go through a couple of weeks where I get night sweats. I also have low mood, which just comes on for no reason whatsoever. You just suddenly feel really, really low. And muscular aches and pains as well, which people will put down to something else, when sometimes it is a symptom of menopause. And perimenopause, just to make it clear for everybody, the official term for menopause is when you've gone a whole 12 months and 1 day with no bleeds or no period. Perimenopause is basically the lead up to that. And it can start, average age is 45, but it can start a lot earlier. Some women experience early menopause. And those symptoms can last up to 5 years before you officially hit menopause. So, and then your class is postmenopausal, and you can still experience symptoms in postmenopause. So on average, and this is average, a woman can potentially expect to have symptoms for 15 years, which is a lot.
We got the bad end of the stick, or what? No. All we have to deal with having a period in the first place. We think that something's happening to our body and we're bleeding out. And then we have to actually give birth, and that's one of the most amazing experiences in the world, but also pretty damn painful. And then this.
Yeah.
My goodness. I'll just say hi to Beck Norton. Hi, Beck. Thanks for joining us. She's put weight and body temperature was her biggest side effects. Yeah. I mean, must be. I haven't actually experienced it yet, and we talked about this before we came live. So it's really interesting for me to find this out, because I'm 52 now.
Yeah.
Beck said hers started at 40. So I'm just hoping that I think it's because like I've got the mentality of a 20-year-old.
Not a bad thing though, Sue.
Maybe that's what it is. I still think I'm 20. I don't look it, but I still think I am. So, and that's working for me so far. So, but anyway, so what are some of the, if you can give 3 top tips to people as to what they can do at home if they start to have any of these symptoms, what can they actually do?
Yeah, okay.
Please.
So it can be a really worrying time. And generally, what happens is women will start to experience symptoms, but generally, what happens is they'll put that down to other things. So when it all started for me, for example, I was putting it down to a very stressful event at the time, when actually what it was, and I didn't realize until probably like a year later, that it was my perimenopause kicking in. So the thing is, if you are worried about it, I always say, because I'm not a medical professional, I'm not a healthcare professional, I am a health and well-being coach, and I come at it from an angle of looking after your health and well-being. If you are concerned about it, I always say, look, go and check with your GP. I'm not quite sure what it's like over there, but over here in the UK, we actually have a doctor called Dr. Louise Newson, who's really she's trailblazing this whole topic at the moment, and she's actually developed an app which I guess you can get all over the world, but on there's a questionnaire that you can fill in, and it will bring out a report for you. So if you're not quite sure, if you're starting to get symptoms and you're not quite sure what's going on, you can go to the app, fill in the questionnaire, and get the report. And then you've got that report, which you can then take to your GP and discuss it in more detail, so you're a bit more informed yourself. But in terms of actually, if you are aware that you're perimenopausal, then 3 top tips for me would be, I think the first thing that I talk about is being really kind to your body. And I know it sounds really cliche and a bit like, yeah, we get that. But I think women, because of the symptoms that they can experience, particularly with the weight gain, I think what a lot of women tend to do is start to go on a diet, exercise more, and start to really almost punish their bodies for what they're going through. And actually what they need to do is the exact opposite of that. So we really need to start nurturing your body. You need to be really tuned in, listen to your body, and whatever you do, please don't think that you can diet your way out of menopause or train your way out of menopause. It's a natural process. It's perfectly normal. And at this stage of our lives, we need to be really looking after ourselves. So that's the first thing I would say, is just be so kind to yourself. Don't beat yourself up, because it's not you. And I say this all the time, it's not you, it's your hormones. So it's not you just suddenly become lazy and you started eating, all the cookies out the jar. There's a reason why. There's reasons why your body stores more weight around this time. So be super kind to yourself. And then number 2, I would say, really manage your stress. So it's all about having your body in as much balance as possible. And when we've got too much stress going on, your hormones won't have a chance. So anything that you can do, and that could be anything from going for a walk. I mean, we don't have the ocean here, we have storms here, but go for a walk.
Nice and clear with the storms.
Spend time with Storm Dudley, which is amazing. Spend time in nature, meditation, breathing, mindfulness, anything that is going to help you lower your cortisol levels. And what we're looking for here is optimum. So to try and get it as balanced as possible, which I know on some days can be really difficult, because then you get like a hit of your hormones, which are being very erratic, especially during perimenopause, can be really, really difficult. So always be mindful of like, what can I do to manage my stress? And my 3rd top tip would be talk about it. And again, I know it sounds really cliche, is the more you talk about it, the more open you can be with yourself and those around you, the easier it will all be for you and and everyone else, because it, like we were saying before, it happens to a female, it happens to the woman, but it does impact everyone around them as well. So this is a guy thing as well, it's not just for the women. And again, because I've spoken to so many women about this, and it can be very, very confusing time, it can be a very, very lonely time. Women can get extremely depressed. I've known of women who have actually taken their lives because they've not been able to handle it. So, we need to talk. We need to talk about this more, and that's without even going into any of the health stuff that I talk about specifically. That's like an umbrella approach, is to really start opening up about this and talking to everybody.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that. I'll just recognize a few notes that we've got here from people. I'm not sure who they are because it says Facebook user, and apparently you need to click on something, which Adair will put up there shortly. But 16 years and still counting, although a lot milder now. And then Adair has put sweats and anxiety when doing what I thought were important presentations at the time in the corporate world. So very distressing. Hot flushes and sweats and anxiety. Thought I was going nuts. It was so distressing. So
and that's the thing, like these symptoms, they can come on very suddenly, especially like the vasomotor symptoms, like the night sweats, the hot flushes, and they can be extremely embarrassing for a lot of women, especially if you're in a meeting, for example, and all of a sudden, like, hot flush will start from here and it flushes all the way up, and you suddenly go really red and your temperature shoots up, and you start to sweat, and it's very visible. It can be very visible to other people as well, but it can be really embarrassing for women that are going through it. But then what happens in reverse is, after the flush comes on, and it only happens for 3 to 4 minutes, is the flush goes away and they can start to get really cold and shiver. So there's a reverse impact to it as well. So and these, like I say, there's no one rings an alarm and goes, "You're about to have a hot flush in 5 minutes, babe. Check yourself out." It's like it just happens in the moment.
Wow. Yeah, it sounds like it's quite an anxious kind of a thing, but as well. So, and how awkward would it be for you when you're so used to doing presentations and you're really good at speaking, and then all of a sudden that happens, and it's only ever happened before when you were younger trying to do presentations, and it was coming because of nerves, but then it just, I hope I don't experience it, but I probably will, because it's part of being a woman, like you say. And the other so what can men do to support their partner through this stage? What can they do? Probably lock themselves in a bedroom.
I think if we're do you know what, actually, I've spoken to, because I have male clients, I have male friends, and they have no choice in the matter. They have to hear about what I'm going through, because it's just so important. Don't assume that your guy is going to understand, even when you start to explain it. It's like they can't get their heads around it because they're not a woman. So but what they can do is they can listen to you. They can maybe go off and just do their own little bit of a bit of research, or just find something which resonates with them, which they can get their head around, and then just be open to talking about it. And I think, especially if you're in a partnership like that, it's really about communication, and saying, hey, just letting you know, for the woman, hey, I'm just letting you know I'm having one of those days. I refer to it as a wave. I'm having one of those days. I'm feeling really low. And then if you have that good communication, then hopefully the guy will go, look, I know it's not you, it's your hormones, and I'm here to support you the best way that I can. If that means, and it really is, you'll have your own strategies and what works best for you. Like one woman was saying to me last week, she said she goes and hides under the duvet with a book, and she doesn't come out until she's feeling better, but that's her strategy and she knows it works for her. Right. Absolutely. So if the guy understands that, then there's not this breakdown of, well, what have I done wrong? What's wrong with me? What's going on? So I just think for guys, it's so important that, first of all, you're aware that this is going to happen, or it is happening. And then look, it isn't about you. It isn't about your partner. It's the hormone. It's the deficiency in hormones which is causing all of this. And I think once you start to understand that, guys, can actually be really supportive. My guys around me in my life have no choice, but they get it. Yeah, and they appreciate the honesty as well, I think.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, Sally. I will just pick up that Beck has said that she was determined to go through her transition naturally. So she did meditation, wearing light clothing all year round, and breath work helped. And she got through and was really grateful. And Kim, hi, Kim. So Kim Hayden has put emotional and weight, but no hot flushes, thankfully. So I guess that also is the other thing. It happens to everyone's an individual, and it's an individual symptom, and how it shows up is different for everybody. And so with the work that you do, Sal, now you are available via Zoom if people wanted to have a coaching session with you. Yes, you're in the UK, but hey, 9 o'clock in the morning there, 7:30 at night here, we can make that work. So you have got a wealth of information. You know so much about health and well-being. And I think the beauty of it with you, my darling, is that you actually have gone through all these things before, and you practice what you preach. So you're the perfect person to help somebody through this.
Thank you.
So how would that work then? People could book a Zoom appointment with you. Is that?
Yeah, I'm very active on my social media. So my Instagram page, which is Eat Train Love UK, my business Facebook page, which again is, I think it's eat.train.love UK. And then I also have a website, which is eattrainlove.co.uk. And you can get me via any of those platforms. Send me a message. We can arrange to have a chat. I generally prefer to do it face to face, because you just get a much better feeling when you're doing it face to face rather than just doing a text all the time. But yeah, 100%. I've worked with people in Australia before now, and it works fine. You can do a lot of things through an online program, which I do with people in the UK, and it just depends what level of support they need. But 100%, and it's always good to have that coach there and that accountability as well if you are going through something like this.
Absolutely, thank you. Now Corinna has just come on with a comment. So she said that she cried almost daily, was triggered initially for weeks, feeling grief and loss for everything. She spent her life thinking what it meant to be a woman, and then I was, though I'm not sure what that means. I do feel warmer generally, with tiny hot flush, usually at night time. Moods have been good since then. Initial peri-menopause migraines and night sweats in mid-40s. So yeah, there's a few of our regular viewers that have experienced it. So yeah, if you are needing support, speak up, speak out. Let's keep the conversation going from here onwards. And if anybody needs that support, also, you are part of the Enlightened Tribe Global Wellness Directory. So if you don't remember all of those handles that Sally just shared, they will be on the comments section anyway. But you can go to sushaw.com.au, easy to remember, and go to the Global Wellness Directory, and all the information about Sally is on there as well. And who knows, maybe in the future, Sally might be coming over to Australia and might be able to do some workshops for us over here. Wouldn't that be good? I'll just plant the seed for that one. All right. So the other thing as well is this like a hereditary kind of thing as to the extensiveness of it or the impact on it? You know, if your mum's had it really bad, would you have it really bad? Is there anything like that that's been discussed?
I don't know what the research is out there about that. I haven't particularly looked into that. It's a good question, but what I would say is I think there's so much more research and support out there now than there was. I vaguely remember my mum going through a weird time, but it was never spoken about. But I think, you know, fast forward kind of 20-30 years, and I do think there's a lot more help and advice out there, which I think could definitely help a woman's whole experience. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to be any less or worse, but I do think there's more help and support out there now. And just the mere fact that we're talking about it, Sue, has got help in some way, shape or form.
Well, it's increased my awareness straight away, because it wasn't in my sphere of knowledge or understanding, because it's just like something that will happen one day maybe when I'm like 60 or whatever. I just didn't. It's not here, so it's not kind of there. But my mum never spoke to me about anything like this either, and perhaps she just didn't know. So if you're a mother and you've got children, you've got females, you've got daughters, please have the conversation with them. Let them know. It's a bit like the conversation when you're going to have you might have your period coming soon as a young teenager, and have that conversation too. They're so important.
So important. And just to give you a statistic, I don't know what it is in Australia, but there's 15.5 million women in the UK right now going through menopause, and that's some stage of menopause. So that's a very large percentage of our population. So it isn't just
It's almost like it's a pandemic, isn't it? Perhaps we should put some money into that.
That would be nice.
Couldn't help myself. Moving forward, it's okay to talk about these things. It's okay to share. And if you do need some extra support and you want to get in touch with Sally, please do. As I say, she's also a nutritionist, and it's a whole holistic approach. It's not going to be just the one thing when you speak to Sally. It's going to be the whole collective. So you're going to get a full health check, a well-being check. You're going to get everything you need to live your life at its best. And I know that because I've got a few tips from you from when you were over in Australia. So, and I haven't forgotten them. Just need to put them into practice again. All right, my darling. Well, thank you so much. Thank you to everybody. It's been a really interesting conversation to have, and it's great that people have connected. So thanks to everybody who's been watching tonight and joining us from the UK or Australia or anywhere in the world. And thank you, Sally, as always, an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.